Welcome back to the Radio Horror YouTube channel. Tonight we're talking about a streaming movie starring Sebastian Stan, otherwise known as Tommy Lee from the Pam and Tommy TV series, which he was phenomenal in, but also the Winter Soldier and a lot of the Marvel MCU stuff. But this time he plays probably one of the most charming motherfucking serial killers on the history of the planet Earth, next to Hannibal Lecter. Cati the Blonde in front of here, who's ready for some fresh meat based on her apron, is here to talk to us about Fresh, the dating app movie you don't want to ever have happen to you.
Yes, Fresh, directed by Mimi Cave and written by Lauren Kahn, stars Sebastian Stan as Steve, Daisy Edgar-Jones as Noah, and Jojo T. Gibbs as Molly. Fresh is a fresh take on a look of the horrors of dating. Now, when you watch, is currently streaming on HULU. It's been there since the beginning of March. I say definitely check it out. The first 9 minutes of this film, if anyone wants to know what it's like to be a woman on a daily basis, I've almost never seen the realistic realization of the female, not necessarily the female gaze, but dating on a female level and just being a female as much as the first 9 minutes of this film. So watch that. The interesting thing about Fresh is that the lead character, Noah, doesn't like dating. She hates the whole aspect. She's go online trying to find a guy or just see what's out there. And then she ends up meeting Steve, Sebastian Stan, in a grocery store. Again, he always has the best opening lines. Like one of my favorite lines that he did was in I, Tanya, when he said, do you like food? Seriously, Sebastian Stan, you had my heart. Now, some people call this a meet cute, M-E-A-T. I actually call it a eat cute because it really makes you realize how much food has to come into play when you're dating, like what you eat, where you eat, how you eat it, the sensuality of a meal, and then the intimacy and personalization of someone actually cooking for you. I would suggest not eating before you see this film. Just Warner, just be aware of that. One of the other things I love about this film so much are the female relationships between Noah and her best friend Molly, played by Jojo T. Gibbs. This is her first feature film. Jojo T. Gibbs nailed it out of the park. You want a best friend like Molly. While this didn't pass the Bechdel test, this is what female relations should be like. Go for your girl. Always make sure you get a picture of a guy that you're dating. Make sure you have a friend who's going to look out for you. And also, if something seems a little too good to be true, like if he's asking you to go on a weekend trip when you've barely known him for a week, maybe pump the brakes a little bit. That was the one thing that I thought was a little too little too much for me. But artistically, this is a beautiful film. I believe this is Mimi Cave's first this is her directorial debut. Get this woman like a franchise. The cinematography, all of the acting, the story by Lauren Kahn. Like, I want them to do so many more movies together. This film doesn't need a sequel, but I want them to continue, not necessarily on this subject, but just making more movies. I wish the 1% of the 1% that have all the money in the world could actually just build schools, like buy books, help do stuff that doesn't necessarily have to do with this subject. Again, I don't want to give it away, even though it's been out there for a while. This should have a little bit to do with it. Maybe this little thing right here. Oh, but watch Fresh. It is again, a fresh look on the horrors of dating. I absolutely loved it. One of my favorite horror films of the year, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
It was, I waited a while before I saw it. I'd heard about it, and then I got the premise from Kevin Smith's podcast, Fat Man Beyond, and I said, okay, interesting. Kevin Smith gives it a decent recommendation. Maybe I'll check it out. It took me a while to really get into it, the horror of what happens to the women in this movie took me out of it sometimes, and I'm not opposed to watching like a slasher film like Scream or something where the victims are brutally stabbed to death. But I don't know, cannibal movies are really hard for me to get into. I did love the like just exquisite gourmet style way of showing how to eat somebody. Is reminded me very much of like Liz, the mortician on the TV series I Zombie, the way she would like prepare brains to be eaten. I thought that was absolutely beautiful. And of course, that was like a gelato gelatin that they used for the
Mhm.
brains. And in this, I would love to find out more about like the process of what they used for like the human meat of it all. But it definitely is not something you watch on a first date with somebody that you met on a dating app or while you are eating. I'm warning you that right now. Katie's assessment is 100% true. Ty West is sorry. What was the name of the director of this again?
Director Mimi Cave.
Mimi Kate, she is fantastic, and I do hope we get to see more of her. Sebastian Stan seems to have like a great deal going on with Disney because Disney owns Hulu, which means they made this movie. Uh, Disney and cannibalism, people, just remember that. And he's done the Pam and Tommy show. He's coming back to play the Winter Soldier again in the Falcon Cat movie. So he's got a great life going on with Disney. So they are using him to their full extent, and I love it because I love Sebastian Stan and stuff. I'll watch almost everything he does. Check out the
It's
rest of
just,
the reviews here on the Radio Horror YouTube channel. Check out Katie's website or her Facebook page, The Blonde in Front. And we'll be back with another exciting film review in a few weeks. I think we got another horror movie coming up, people. So stay tuned for that.
Bye.